From the low desert in beautiful Tempe, Arizona, this is Politics and the Past with Robert Ferguson, presented by the Center for American Institutions. I'm joined today by two gentlemen, one of whom is also getting to enjoy the beautiful low desert, and the other is suffering through a Canadian winter. I'm joined by Farzan and Amin Mojiri. Amin and a gentleman, I'm going to get you guys to introduce yourselves here, but just quickly, they are connected to or we are here to discuss the uprising in Iran and the situation that Iranian citizens face, both at home and abroad. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. Farzan, I'll start with you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Thanks for having us here. Like you said, my name is Farzan. I live here in Arizona, enjoying the beautiful weather we have. I came to the US as a refugee, as a religious refugee in 2011. After staying about a year in Turkey, submitted my asylum request there. I'm Baha'i, and as you may know, Baha'is being under the persecution since the inception of the Islamic Revolution in Iran in 1979. So I didn't have the right to go to a school or a lot of other things, and I really wanted to go to a school. So I came to the US in 2011, went to Boise State in Boise, Idaho, and then moved to Arizona 3 years ago because I had enough of snow and winter. So I'm here with you all.
Great. Well, welcome. Well, I look forward to asking you more questions about your experience being Baha'i. Um, and but now, I mean, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Rob, for having us. I'm Amin, and I'm assistant professor at ASU, and my major is atmospheric water harvesting and water and wastewater treatment. I joined ASU exactly January 2024. And before joining ASU, I was assistant professor at Hiroshima University. I'm currently in Canada to visit my family, my brother. And as you might know, right now we have a lot of situation and problem in Iran. I'm so happy to talk about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a stunning situation, and it's a fast moving situation. So I'm really happy we have you gentlemen on. So Farzan, let me begin with you. I do want to maybe talk a little bit more about your personal experience. Are you able to discuss a little bit more about what it means to be like what is the Baha'i religion? I don't know that everybody would be familiar with that. And a little bit more about how that what that means after the Islamic Revolution in Iran.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a very high level overview, and obviously, nowadays with all the chat GPT and everything, you all can gather lots of information. But to give you a very high level overview, about 170 years ago, uh, somebody in Iran said, "Hey, I'm the promised one." In Islam, they have this person, the promised one, Mahdi, that we call it, and he claimed to be that person. At the time, well, they were persecuted. And they sent them, the king of Iran at the time, they sent them to exile to Turkey. And then from Turkey, the Sultan in Turkey, who were also Muslim, at the time wasn't Turkey, it was Ottoman empires. They sent them to exile to the city named Akka, and they died there, and we built our shrine there. And then later, after the World War II, that place became what we know today of Israel. So this is really important historical content, because after the Islamic Revolution, the Islamic government accused all Baha'is to being a spy for Israel. Why? Because our shrine is in Israel. So it's like accusing all Muslim around the world to be spying for Saudi Arabia because the holy places is in Saudi. So that doesn't make any sense. As the results of that, many Baha'is in Iran, all of the Baha'is in Iran, they lost lots of rights, and we became the second class citizen, as a matter of fact. About about 300, 255, 260 Baha'is were died, 158 Baha'is were executed around 1980s to 1987. And then, we couldn't go to university because in Iran, and again, that's really very interesting context for the US audiences. Anywhere in the US, when you go and apply for a job, university, anything, they ask for your race, right? And this is not because they want to discriminate you. This is, for statistics, because they want to know, okay, what race you are you a veteran, and things like that, right? And in Iran, anywhere you go apply for university, they ask for your religion. So if you put Baha'i, because Baha'i is not in Iran's constitution, you were denied. You cannot go to university. So there are four religions that they recognize in Iran's constitution. So Islam, both sects, Shia and Sunnis, Christianity, Judaism, and Zoroastrian. So if you don't believe in God, or you believe in a different God that is not in the constitution, you automatically became a second class or a third class citizen. So I was one of them. I really wanted to go to a school. I couldn't pursue my higher education, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I love my country. I love my birthplace, but I also want to have a life. I want to build my life. And I came to the US, and I am a huge believer of the, American dream. I came here, I have $100 in my pocket and two duffel bags of everything, all my belongings, mostly, personal belongings and things like that. And I started building my life from zero.
Wow. So, when you're not talking about Iran, what are you doing, Farzan?
Oh, when I'm not talking about Iran, which most of the day I do talk about Iran, like Amin, like many other Iranians diaspora here, I'm a project manager. I'm a customer success manager for a tech company. So I'm talking to lots of people about different things, making sure they achieve their company goals and things like that.
Right. So, I mean, you truly have achieved the American dream. I mean, you came here 14 years ago with very little, and you've managed to establish a very professional life for yourself here in the United States. I mean, you deserve congratulations for that. It's not easy.
I appreciate that. This country is being nice to me and many other refugees, and we truly appreciate it.
Right on. All right. And I mean, you've got family. Did you grow up in Iran, I mean?
Yeah, I was living there until 25. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me talk about a little bit about the history of Iran before talk about the current situation. Robert, in 1979, we had a very crazy revolution. They call it Islamic Revolution. Before the Islamic Revolution, the people of Iran were happy and wealthy. Let me provide some metric to you. At that time, the GDP per capita of Iranian was almost 12 times bigger than China, 2.5 times bigger than South Korea, and almost 2 times bigger than the Turkey. It means we were the wealthy country. And unfortunately, in 1979, we had a very crazy situation in Iran. We call it the Islamic Revolution. Many, fanatic and radical Muslims occupied Iran that time. Some of them, supported by unfortunately Western University. Right now, we know that about it. We know it. Some of them supported with Western countries because that time they supposed to, have a very big green belt in the Middle East to prevent, communists coming to Middle East
Yeah,
countries.
it was sort of assumed, I think, naively by many Western political figures that because the Islamic Revolution were religious, that they would inevitably be like an ally against the godless communists. But
Yeah.
in order to do that, it required a lot of willful ignorance, including never having read Khomeini.
Mhm.
If you'd
Yeah.
read Khomeini, it would have been very obvious to you they were not an ally, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. But during these years, around 47 years, people of Iran several times came to the street and fighting for freedom. Do you know? Let me give you some numbers. In around exactly 4 years ago, the people came to the street with the, with the trigger we calling about the, the gas price going up in Iran. That time, so people came to the street and protest. The government killed 1,500 people. 1,500 people. They are not numbered. They are people. They had a family. They had name. They had history. And 3 years ago, again, we had a revolution. We call it, women life freedom. People, especially younger, came to a street fighting for freedom. And more than 600 people killed by government, by Islamic government. And today, again, the people came to the street and again fight for freedom. And, more than 36,000 people slaughtered by government, by Islamic government. They shut down the internet to, to cover the slaughtering, to cover the, mass killing people. I have
Yeah.
family in Iran. I'm worried about them. Do you know when the internet cut, you don't have any connection with them. Even single, text. Are you okay there? Do you know, it's a very sensitive and emotional, situation for all Iranian around the world. We have 8 million Iranian right now outside the country. And seeing each of Iranian faces this, this same situation and emotion because they have a lot of connection in Iran. They have family, they have friends in Iran, and they are worried about.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine the anguish and the fear and the just and associated with the uncertainty of not knowing what's going on with family members. I mean, it's we live in a world right now where we take communication and contact so for granted. Like this morning, I was texting a friend in Ukraine, and back and forth and no problem. And, you just take that for granted. And when something like that happens, and you have a hostile, malevolent regime like the Islamic government in Iran, who has shown themselves willing to engage in the most violent, reprehensible of oppressive behavior. I cannot imagine what folks like yourselves and other members of the Iranian diaspora have been feeling, and Iranians inside of Iran too, of course.
Yeah. And Rob, it's funny but crazy at the same time when you mentioned you were texting your friend in Ukraine. Ukraine is in active war. Iran is not in a war, and they cut down all the communication and everything. I just want to, piggyback on what Amin said about all these protests in the years before, so people don't assume that this is just happened or people are on the street. So the Islamic Revolution came to power in 1979. I think the official inception date was in February 1979. In March 8th, 1979, Women's Day, women in Iran, in Tehran, took it to the street and they protested. So that was the very first, like a month after they took power, women were in the street and protesting for their rights. Some of the, and then there were like a smaller ones after that. But we have 1999, we have a student protest. It was in July. The flashpoint was free press. They were like protesting for free press. The 2009, we have the Green Movement. People probably heard about that Green Movement. The flashpoint was election fraud. 2017, 2018, we have the economic protest, and that was for a gas price hike and everything. In 2019, they hiked the gas price by 300%, and people were on the street. January 2020, we have the cover up, the government cover up of shutting down the Ukrainian flight 752 That was a big news. So the IRGC shut down this Ukrainian flight, and 176 people all abroad, they are Iranian, Ukrainian, Canadian, were died. This is, and then 2022, like Amin mentioned, we have Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman from Iran. She was died in the custody of the morality police for improper hijab. And again, to resonate with your audience, we have this issue, and we talked about the police brutality in the US. This is the police brutality in Iran. And if you go to Google, and right now Google Mahsa Amini, and you see she was wearing headscarf, she had a hijab, but they took her to the custody and they killed her. So people being pushing back and on the street for all these years, but now they have had it enough. They don't want this regime anymore.
It seems that the crises have accelerated.
It
From the regime's perspective, the crises have accelerated. That I remember, in 2009 with the green movement that you were talking about, that felt so new
Mhm.
to a Western observer. That felt very odd. Not odd is the wrong word, but it felt unusual is probably the right way to say it. Whereas nowadays, if you were to tell me that 30,000 people or 100,000 people were demonstrating somewhere in Iran, it's newsworthy in the United States, but it's not. It's almost expected
Mm.
because this. Am I wrong to think that the regime that the only weapon the regime has left is violence?
Oh, yeah.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And do you know why? Because this time we have very, clear leader. Every people chanting King Reza Pahlavi. He's the crown of, previous Shah. He's the son of previous Shah. That's
We
why
actually we actually hosted him here about 8 years ago.
wow, awesome. Yeah, it's my pleasure. You talk already with King Reza Pahlavi. It's my pleasure.
Well, I
And
wasn't here, but
yeah, let me point, mention one point. A few weeks ago, President Trump promised to people of Iran to, help them. He clearly mentioned we are locked and loaded. But right now, after several weeks, he started to talk with this regime. It is not good. My people, right now, my people don't have a good feeling about that. Let me point out one thing. Right now, the U.S., Israel, and Iranian people of Iran, have same benefits, have same interests, have same, profits. If the regime take it down in Iran, it means that Israel would be safe. U.S. and U.S. people would be safe. Middle East would be safe. It's not just because of the Iran, it's because of the war. They export terror. They export, radical Muslim in all over the world. From the Africa to Europe, from Asia to Middle East. This is a terror. This government is terror, not just only for Iranian people, it's for the world. If you help Iranian people to take down this regime, it means you help yourself.
Sure. Well, while I don't doubt that to be true, and I suspect we're dealing with a situation where, well, I think there's several factors at play. There's various states with different interests in the Middle East,
Mhm.
and I think that the administration in Washington is caught largely of their own behavior, frankly, in a position where um, they are. It's clear what they want. They would like to see the regime fall in Tehran, but I think that neighboring states are very nervous about what that actually would entail, about the consequences of that. We've seen human rights, we've seen crises in the Middle East not that long ago, where you had major refugee crises across the region. And I expect you've got states like, even Israel, but also Jordan, Qatar, various others, even Saudi Arabia, states in the Middle East that are concerned about what a power vacuum would actually look like in Iran.
I don't think that's so. They are concerned, Rob, but they are not concerned about the power vacuum. They are actually concerned about the return of a powerful regime or government to Iran. Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is people that on the street, in front of bullets, are calling his name. So I think, going back to what Amin mentioned, during the Shah, 50 years ago, Iran's GDP were even higher than China, right? So imagine, during these 47 years, Iran is actually walked back in terms of economy, in terms of innovation, because all the money they funneled this terrorist regime funneled all the money to Hezbollah, to Hamas, to Houthis, to Boko Haram, to everything. So imagine all this money spent on the Iranian people. So you would see an explosion of innovation and a wealth of this nation. And this is something, I think that's the crux of the matter that worries all these nations around us, because they are afraid that this nation would become something that better and bigger than all of them. And another interesting thing is, when the war happens in anywhere in the world, people start trying to flee the country, right? Flee the war zone, going to the neighboring country. I can tell you with certainty that if US attacks the Ayatollahs, there are 9 million people, 9 million Iranians, Amin and I are two of them, that are waiting for these Ayatollahs to go, and we will return. So you'll see migration, but you'll see the reverse migration. People are waiting to go back to Iran, not fleeing from Iran. So, and I don't think they are concerned about power vacuum. People are set and ready about, okay, who we want and who we want to do. And Crown Prince said million times, even 10 years ago, that, hey, I am here to lead this transition. Then we put the ballot box here, and whatever people want, we will do that. So I think this is very straightforward.
Well, I mean, I think it's more straightforward than it's been in the past.
Yeah.
The prominence of the crown prince, the fact that he is a clear, at least symbolic, but not just symbolic, but political leader of this movement, um, answers some questions that I think previously people may have had.
That's correct.
Um, but let me get into I actually want to get more into the Iranian experience of what it's like, being a being somebody who is a second class citizen in Iran. Um, what what is what are the consequences? We spoke a little bit about what the consequences were, for women who did not fully, um, comply with morality laws. What are just the day-to-day consequences, though, for somebody who is not fully compliant, or yeah, fully compliant, fully engaged with the Islamic regime?
Before Farzan you answer, let me mention one important thing. Most of the Iranian people, I can say more than 90% of population of the country, are second class citizens. They have a little, oligarch. They have a lot of money. They have corrupted money. They do money laundering for the government. And they children already, they are in US and Europe. Even at ASU, we have several, the children of our oligarchs. They are right now working at ASU. And I know them. They fathers killing people inside the Iran, and their sons have a very wealthy living at ASU and in Arizona. So I should point it. All the Iranian people are the second class citizens. And other, minority like the Farzan, they are the third and fourth class citizens. They don't have any right. Even the basic right, education, they don't have this basic right. Even opening, the bank account, they don't have this, a small thing. They don't have any right. In Iran, if a woman doesn't, have hijab, she cannot, open bank account. She cannot go to, to do any official job in Iran. This means the government doesn't concern people, doesn't see people as human. They see people as, okay, you are oligarch, you are working with us, or you are enemy. Farzan?
Yeah, that's very true because if you are, as we say it, if you are connected, if you are part of the government and part of the system, and you are like a member of IRGC or Basij, okay, you probably have a better life. Even like to give you a perspective, even so Sunnis, so Islam is two sects, Shia and Sunnis. In the world, Sunnis are majority. In Iran, the majority is Shia. So Iran is the only like country that are mostly Shia. This is up for debate if people really believe that or not. But on the paper, Iran is like the biggest Shia, 99-95% Shia Muslims, right? So, but Shia in the world of Islam, Shia is the minority. They're not a lot. Yeah, they're tiny. In Iran, if you are Sunni, they like the government discriminates you. They don't like for years they couldn't have their own mosque in the capital in Tehran. So and they are Muslims. So let alone if you are not Muslim, you are a third or fourth class citizen. Like if you convert from Islam to Christianity or Baha'i, they can execute you, and they did in the past. If you are gay, good luck. If you don't believe in God, well, yeah, good luck to you too. So you have two choices. You either have to censor yourself and your beliefs, and you're not yourself, which comes at the cost that we all know, or you're somebody like me and say, hey, I have my family here in this country. I was born here. I love my land. I love my country. Yeah, I hate the government, but I love my country. But you know what? I want to build a life, and you leave. So you have two options. And one time they wanted to. So my sister came home. I think she was in junior high or high school. I can't remember correctly. I think the last year of junior high. She came home, and they wanted to expel her from school. And the reason is that because she talked about her faith in a school. And I asked my sister, my mom, and I asked her, and she said, well, I didn't talk about it. Like we were on a school bus, some of my classmates asked me, and I answered the question. I didn't start the conversation. And the reason those classmates asking question is the school had an after school class for the children, and they were talking about Baha'is and they are spies, they are killing you, they are drinking your blood. All these famous conspiracy theories that you hear. So they were curious. They asked me on the bus, and I answered them. And the principal asked her to come to the office the next day and say, hey, get your document and you're expelled from the school. My sister said, no, I'm not going to get my documents. You have to call my mom. I'm not going to do that. So the next day, my mom and I went to a school to talk to the principal, and they said, oh, you guys are a spy for Israel. Your sister, insulted Prophet Muhammad. And I was like, no, I know my sister. She's never gonna do that. She won't do that. They asked her about her faith because you provoked children. You did a bunch of your lies. So they asked her, and she clarified. And I was like, and she kept saying, oh, you guys are a spy for Israel. I was like, you know what? I wish I was a spy for Israel because I would be well off. Instead of doing manual labor, I would have better money. I was joking, but I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm doing manual labor for, to get money. Well, what are you talking about? A spy for Israel. So this is the common thing. And to mention that 2 days ago, they arrested 6 Baha'is in a city called Kerman in Iran. And they brought two of them in front of live TV to do forced confessions to say, yeah, we were working for Israel to killing people on the street. So they do that all the time. And yeah, I agree fully with Amin. Even for many Muslims who are not with the government, they are second class citizens. They have to just bear with whatever they want, or they internalize all this pain.
Mm. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And I just can't imagine, the again, the anguish and the fear that accompanies all of that. And the fact that you're provoking children to or provoking children to hate their classmates, to fear and hate their classmates,
Yeah.
is just astonishing. I mean, it's not astonishing because I know a little bit about what's going on in Iran, but it would be astonishing if I did not. Um, okay, so in the last few weeks, there's been another um, major attempt by Iranian citizens to protest and to maybe even overthrow the government. What sparked this?
So the inception, or what sparked it, it started from the Grand Bazaar of Tehran. So because of the economy is in shambles, it's ridiculous. So, and keep in mind, Tehran Bazaar is a very traditionally, they are aligned with the government. They are very conservative. In the past uprisings like Mahsa movement or Green movement, all these, they kept it really quiet. They were not engaged, and people of Iran were like, you should come in, you should support it. But the bazaar, they are businessmen, very old school conservative businessmen, and when they are,
They want stability. They want stability, so people will come to the bazaar. Yeah.
yeah. So when they started doing that, um, it sends clear signals that it's really bad. It's getting really bad now that they are on the street. And then the people that started to supporting them, because people were always like, I mean, I have to say, like, especially after Mahsa Amini, people are living on edge. They are waiting for something to happen so they can take it to the street, so they can overthrow the government. They are waiting for an opportunity, for a chance to overthrow this government. But the problem, I know we're getting into this, but the problem is the government is using military grade weapons against these people who don't have any weapons. And people who is listening, you should know Iran is not like the US. There is no Second Amendment. People don't own guns. So the government can just, kill them. Whoever, only the government officials, they own guns.
Right. Okay,
Let me
so what
provide some numbers during these weeks. More than 36,000 people killed. More than 10,000 people get blind, get shot in the eyes, and 300,000 people get injured, get shot, and more than 100,000 people right now arrested by the government.
yeah. Ugh,
I can't
okay.
call it genocide. It is completely genocide. When killing a lot of people just in a few days it's genocide. I cannot call it killing. I can cite this is the preparing for genocide. They prepare, the government prepare. They prepare for doing genocide.
And
Yeah.
the interesting, not the interesting thing, the government, the official on the TV, and this is the Islamic government, they always lie. They admitted on the Iranian TV, the official TV, that they killed or 3,117 people were killed. They said 3,100. When they admit to killing 3,100, 100%, it is 10 times more. It is 10 times more, or maybe even more, but they admitted to killing 3,100 people.
Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah. So you mentioned the business owners in the bazaar that up until very recent, or the shopkeepers in the bazaar, or whatever, that up until relatively recently, they've been staunch allies of the regime. Maybe not like enthusiastic, um, maybe not enthusiastic supporters, but tolerant of the regime.
Yeah.
What are there any other major parts of Iranian society that continue to tolerate the regime that might not be necessarily members of the party, but that continue to tolerate the regime?
I can say zero.
Uh,
Yeah. Just a little, oligarch of the government. They are right now support the government. But I'm pretty sure some of them will, separate from the government in the nearest future. And right now we can see it. For example, some of the diplomat of the government in Soviet, in European country, they started to to be separated from this government.
The Islamic regime, Rob, is nothing more than a cartel. They operate like a cartel. If you are in the cartel with them, you're well off. If you are not, you're risking your life.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, but people can still be tolerant of the cartel, even if they're, they can still be tolerant of it because they just prefer the stability.
But Rob, we are wealthy country. We have a lot of, oil, gas, and anything. But right now, more than 80% of people of Iran, they are struggling with the poverty.
Mhm.
So there is no room for any people to tolerate with this government anymore.
And it's not just, one thing that I mentioned, uh, this is not like because of economy. It's not only because of economy, it's part of it, of course. But on the street, people are chanting death to dictator or regime change. They are not chanting, "Oh, give us free bread or free gas." You don't hear that. So it's not purely economic. Uh, the Islamic Republic, with the mismanagement of the natural resources, they dried up bunch of lakes in Iran, which go back thousands of years. They managed to dry up these historical lakes in Iran. They destroyed all the forests in northern Iran. Look, women, they don't have freedom to wear or choose their clothes. Men, if you are different religion, different sexual orientation, different political party, like everybody is miserable. Like everybody is having hard time except those in that a small group of their cartel like government.
Yeah, no, that's a really important point, and I also like how you distinguished that, this is the people on the streets are not calling for economic reforms.
No, they are
They're
calling
not.
freedom. Yeah.
They're calling for freedom, and they're calling for an end.
They want to take back their own country.
Right,
To be
and
honest,
that
they want to
feels
take back their own country. Yeah, please.
and that feels different. Not different. I mean, I know that they've been calling this in the past, but I felt 2 weeks ago when I was witnessing this that this one was different than the one
Completely
before.
different. Yeah.
It-
Because right now we have a leader. Before, before that, we didn't have any clear leader. But right now we have a leader who can, guide us about each point and each step we should take. This is the difference right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it is different in terms of how many people are on the street. It is different because we clearly have a leader that people in Iran are calling for him. And it is really important to mention that a lot of people here in the US maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, they didn't believe in Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. But when they saw people on the street, people who are in front of live ammunition, they are calling for him. They're like, okay, we have to be united. And he was able to unite everybody. The other thing is the scale of this protest started expanding since the beginning of the revolution. And I mentioned some of the days: 1991, 2009, 2017, 2018. So, and the brutality of the regime also started to increase. So, for example, during the Green Movement in 2009, there is an estimate of 70 to 120 people were killed by the officials, by the Islamic government. We are going to 3 years ago, 2022, Mahsa Amini protest, and we have a report of somewhere between 540 to 600 were killed. And now we have 30,000 killed. So I think they are doing whatever they can to just save to stay in power. And I think it is on U.S. has some responsibility here to really help the Iranian people. The President Trump said many times, help is on the way. And I talked to many of my their internet, where they shut down the internet, but at some point there was on, so some of my friends were able to send me message through WhatsApp, and I talked to them or chatted to them rather, and they're like, "Hey, they killed so many of us. We are afraid to go out, but we are hopeful that Trump would do something so we can take our country back."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that, to me, there's no doubt that the commitment by the Oval to make sure, or to the Iranian protesters, not only probably encourage people who wouldn't have, who may not have, who may have been too afraid to go out on the streets, to go out on the streets,
100%.
and increase the size of those crowds, and people endangered themselves, put themselves in a position where they were likely to be punished, if not executed, by the regime. And they were almost certainly inspired to do that. Some of them, I mean, many of them were out there already, but the crowds got bigger, and more risks were taken
Yep,
than
exactly.
probably would have been taken otherwise.
Yeah. And for folks that are listening and they are thinking, okay, so what's wrong with those two Iranians that are supporting another country attacking their country? We're not supporting any country attacking my country, but we are supporting to attack the IRGC bases because they are the killing machine. They killed Iranians, they killed Americans, they killed citizens of EU. So they have blood on their hands. They are a terrorist organization. They are a terrorist organization recognized by the US government, recently recognized by the EU. So they are a terrorist organization, and we support, US taking action on this organization. We're not like, and I'm pretty sure, like, if President Trump wants to, do anything, he's not gonna, drop a bomb in downtown Tehran. And they well know where the regime's headquarters are, so they can take action against those centers. So then people would be on the street, and the regime would be busy with all the other things, so they don't have time basically to kill people.
Okay. I mean, you guys are not military experts, and I'm not bringing you on here to be a
No,
military expert,
no,
right?
no, I'm
Right.
not. But
And I'm not to criticize your former comment. That was to preface the question I was about to ask you.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh, the question I'm about to ask you is, I think Americans would be nervous that, any attempt to engage in regime change in Iran would require American boots on the ground, would require infantry soldiers, would require maybe a land invasion. And I mean, I've looked at the topography of Iran. It's awfully mountainous. It'd be very difficult place to invade. Um, again, you're not military experts, but Do you think that would be necessary, or are you confident that as long as the IRGC forces are isolated through air power, that the people can take care of the rest?
We don't need, boots on the ground either. What we need, just, bombing the centers of IRGC. This is whole of the thing. The people of Iran need it. I have one thing to share with American people, Israel people. The people of Iran, they are allying with you. We have the same, enemy. We have a common enemy. Our enemy is IRGC. Remember, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, when you came to Iraq, the roadside bomb of IRGC kill your friends, kill your sons, daughter in Iraq. Remember that. The people of Iran, they are allying with you. If you want to be safe, you need to help people of Iran. You don't need to send your son in Iran. You need just to bomb the IRGC. The people of Iran, they can take care of themselves. We need just your bomb. That's all.
Yeah, and
Mm.
and Israel did that in 12 days. If you remember the 12 days war between Islamic Republic and Israel, Israel only did through the air, and they bombed like the military bases, atomic bases, and the ballistic bases. And not one innocent people in Iran died because they only targeted it was a very precious attack. So only military bases, and Israel done that in 12 days, and they didn't do anything. The Islamic Republic showed that they are just they are bluffing about their military power. So I don't think, and you're right. If we have boots on the ground, we'll end up something like Afghanistan. Iran has lots of mountains. It's really hard to do that. But unlike Afghanistan, we don't need to engage with the people of Iran. There are bases, and those folks are in those bases. Destroy the bases, and in my opinion, obviously I'm not a military expert, but in my opinion, two things happen. You destroy those bases enough so people can take over, or you destroy them and others IRGC that are survived, they're like, okay, a lot of us were killed, my commander were killed or something like that. So they starts, coming on the other to the other side and dropping their weapons.
Mhm. Right. I mean, it's a, there's no doubt in my mind that the Iranian people are, and I mean, and I'm not saying, this conversation has helped me think this through, but, just witnessing again the increasing escalation of uprisings in Iran. Again, it used to be once a decade, and now it's once a year. It feels like, and at some point, you know, the Iranian regime murdering 38,000 dissidents here, and maybe more, maybe, ballpark, maybe more, maybe a lot more, and there might be more in the future. But that doesn't feel like it's actually done anything other than in the short term.
Hmm. Yeah.
This is not like
Yeah.
Tiananmen, where
Yeah.
the Chinese government bought themselves a decade with that brutal
But,
suppression of what happened.
around 1,000 people killed there. But
Yeah,
in Iran, yeah, a lot of
yeah,
people.
but the way that it happened, it was sort of a shock and awe thing in Tiananmen, and
Yeah.
um, it really shocked people in a way that this doesn't feel like it shocked people. People feel like they're still, again, here it's just strictly anecdotal, but this doesn't feel like it's over.
It's not over, and you brought up a good point. Why why we don't see a good coverage from media in the West? Like 38,000 people were dead, and I saw a report from CNN, and this reporter were walking on the street in Tehran and just showing all the murals in Tehran. They're like "Dead to America" and blah blah blah, and And who would you believe those interviews, Rob? I mean, I'm Iranian, so I know how the system works, but you must be very naive to look at those footage and believe everything you see. So,
Okay, so let me ask you. All right, this is a good question. Let me ask you. Why do you gentlemen believe there's two questions here. Let me separate it out into two. All right. Let's start with the media one. Why do you gentlemen believe that the media is telling this story? I don't want to say the story's pro-regime that the Western media is telling, but it's certainly not as anti-regime as you would expect.
Do you know why? Because of two main reasons. The first one, there are a lot of, regime lobbies inside the media. Let me, tell you one story. A few days ago, at ASU, they had a, calling meeting or event for Iran. They brought some people to talk about Iran, even they never live in Iran. And they just mentioned everything is because the economy. Everything is because of the economy. So there is no mass killing. They are lobbying for the Islamic Republic regime. And the second point, unfortunately, most of the media right now occupied by leftists, to be honest. Right now, because we are aligned with Israel, in all Iranian, march, you can see the flag of Israel and US. So this is the part the leftists hate of the people of Iran, to be honest. Let me so clear, because I'm angry. When 40,000 people killed by government, that the media never mention about it. Even sometimes they bring the lobby of the Islamic Republic regime to call people of Iran terrorists. They told Iranian people, destroy ambulance. But it's false. It's false information. I don't
I mean,
want to
to be
call
fair,
them
I've
fake
never seen anything. To be fair, I haven't seen anything like that on CNN or like the New York Times or anything like that. I mean, again, I might not be as critical of the regime as I'd like, but I haven't seen total water carrying for the regime on CNN or the New York
when they
Times or Washington
when
Post.
they don't coverage the mass killing in Iran, it means they indirectly support the government. Let me so clear. Do you know we don't believe that the Hamas, the Hamas data about the killing Gaza people. I don't believe that many people already killed in Gaza. I don't believe that. But you can see every time, every day, all the media coverage that. All the media. But you can't see anything about the Iranian people.
That's
They are
very good.
fighting for freedom.
That is a very good point. That it is a that you watch the media, you pay attention to the media, and it was all like you were watching like them actually counting the deaths one by one on a ticker in Gaza. Whereas in Iran, you're right, there's nowhere near the same degree of coverage. And yeah,
Yeah. Even that's count of the the media for the killing people inside the Gaza coming from the Hamas, a terror government inside the Gaza. You believe terror government, but you don't believe Iranian people. A lot of right now, a lot of them doctors, medical doctor, they are arrested by the government because they help people, they help injured people.
yeah.
But the media never cover these points. They don't want to people listen to Iranian people.
I think, and I think some of the the coverage that we are thinking or talking is that, for example, you see this reporter or this media talks about the blackout, the internet blackout in Iran, and they're like, oh yeah, we need to make sure that the Iranian people have access to free internet. Okay, but Iranian people are not asking for free internet; they're asking for regime change. If you downplay what the Iranian people want, so what we are seeing is not first lack of coverage, and when they cover it, they downplay it. So they downplay it to only economy, or hey, give the Iranian people internet. When is the first time the U.S. government actually talked about like the Freedom Act or giving Iranian people free internet? It was 2012. So giving free internet to Iranian people is not something new and it's not a solution. they are looking to change the regime. So say what they are saying. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I think, again, media in the West are really afraid because in Iran, Islamic government is killing its citizens who are supposedly Muslims too. So Muslims killing Muslims. So they don't want to be wrong, so they're afraid of reporting that. And I don't know, it doesn't matter what religion you are. Like, we have a government, let's just remove the religion. We have a government killing its own people at a massive scale. And as a reporter, I went to a school for journalism, so I studied journalism. So as a journalist, you have to report the facts. You have to report. So yeah, you can report and say, hey, I didn't count all the 40,000 bodies, but here are my witnesses, here are my sources, and here are what I heard. Again, Iranians government admitted that they killed 3,100 people. So I mean, giving the history of them lying all the time, it's definitely 10 times more than that.
Yeah, which I think lines up pretty concretely with that 38,000 figure
Yeah.
that we have. Um, so you kind of alluded to this, but is it just among elite media and let's focus on the media story for a second, then we'll talk about academia. But in the media story, why are is it just a knee-jerk dislike of what some might call American imperialism, and maybe also knee-jerk dislike of Israel that causes, journalists, or some journalists, and I wanna be clear here, some journalists, I wanna qualify this effectively, and that maybe some too prominent voices to too quickly take the side of the Iranian regime because they view them as an obstacle to American imperialism or Israeli, or Israel.
Well, I don't think are you talking about the current Iranian government, right? Not
Yeah, I mean, there's a view that the Iranian government is
yeah.
a counter is a counterforce to the United States and a counterforce to Israel within the Middle East.
Yep. Yeah,
And
that's the view.
Yeah,
and that because it's a counterforce, it gets sympathetic treatment.
yeah, exactly. Because the Iranian regime is rough with US and Israel. They support the Hamas. They support Hezbollah in Lebanon. So the lefties, because I'm so happy to say, most of the media occupied with leftist people, because the government of Iran supported terrorist attack against Israel people. They want to they choose, most of the journalists and media, they choose to be silenced because they hate Israel, to be honest. That's why. If you ask them why you are silent, because they say, oh, okay, the regime of Iran right now, they have they support Palestinian people. They support Gaza people. This is the reason. They want to be selective. They have double standards. If some people kill in Gaza, you should, and you care about it, you should care about the people of Iran as well.
Mhm.
You say the Hamas, terror government, say around 50,000 people killed in Gaza. And that's what, for 2 years, war inside Gaza.
Yeah.
But during 2 weeks, the government of Iran killed 40,000 people, and you are silent about it? It's shocking.
Yeah, and again, I don't wanna say they're silent because, I mean, I'm aware of it, and I'm not just aware of it because of underground sources. I'm aware of it because I read major newspapers. So your statement stands that it's certainly not plastered over the front page like it was with Gaza, but it's not, you can
You
find
find exactly.
you can find the
Yeah,
information.
some
Right.
information in other pages is not enough.
No,
This genocide,
that's fair.
genocide
fair.
should be in the first page of your
And
newspaper.
And it's not just newspapers. Like, for example, you look at celebrities, you look at all these figures who were, and don't get me wrong. We're not saying, yeah, killing people in Gaza is right and in Iran is wrong. One life is too many. Yes, human lives is precious anywhere around the world, regardless of your race, your religion, your political party. But we are seeing a double standard. We are seeing a selective activism, and we are basically, criticizing that selective activism. Like, if you supported, those people, whatever you want to support, that's good. But why are you silent now? What is the difference?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. I mean, we just saw, I mean, especially among the activist crowd, there's no
Bro,
that
let me ask you, during these months, have you ever seen anything about, Obama tweet anything about the Iranian people? No, he's completely silent. You are Peace Nobel Prizer. You receive Peace Nobel, and you are silent about killing 40,000 people? Are you kidding me?
Well, he's got his hands full in Minneapolis.
But at least, yeah.
I but I definitely hear you that the silence of the activists of left-wing activists here is astonishing. And I I wish I had a better answer for this other than they can't stomach criticizing something that they view as an obstacle to either to what they view as American imperialism or to Israel. Uh and or maybe they feel weird criticizing a Muslim regime, but that hasn't stopped them from criticizing Saudi Arabia,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, Jamal Khashoggi's death, while a terrible tragedy and something that I certainly don't want to be on, was awful, has probably gotten more coverage in the Washington Post and New York Times, which I understand why. But then the 38,000 people who've been murdered in
Yeah.
Iran.
Yeah, even, the government of Iran killed a lot of the reporters, even outside the Iran. And the Iran international reporters, they several times the government attempt to kill them, even in UK soil, even in UK soil. And the UK government didn't do anything about it.
Well, if we expect the UK government, I'm about to travel to the UK here, so maybe I should be quiet. But if we expect the UK government to start taking principled stands on behalf of various we're going to be waiting a long time.
And Rob, let me say something. Even right now in BBC, the British broadcast, BBC, they call the leader of the government, they call it the leader of the Iran. Still, they call it him as a leader of Iran.
Yeah.
And it is so crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway, trying to analyze European attitudes to Iran has been is a challenge for another day, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But anyway, gentlemen, this has been a really good conversation. I've learned a lot. I think we've you guys have made it very clear the importance of the moment, and the fact is that this is a mass movement that is continuing to build inside of Iran and outside of Iran.
Mhm, mhm.
Thank you, Rob, for providing such time to us to talk with our people. And I have one thing to our people inside Iran. Please stay strong. Please stay strong. And I'm still believe that help is on the way. I'm still believing. Even right now, Trump talking and negotiate with the regime. I still believe the help is on the way.
Yeah. 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 Same here, Rob. I cannot thank you enough for having us today, and great conversation. And like Amin said, uh, I hope Trump changes his mind, because you cannot and should not negotiate with a terrorist regime to begin with. And yeah, I like, I mean, I want to be hopeful, and I I believe that the help is on the way, and we will be victorious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I think your last line is more important than anything else. That the Iranian people will be victorious. Maybe not this week, maybe not next week, but they will be victorious. And, help will accelerate that process, but ultimately I believe that it's inevitable one
Yeah.
way or the other.
Yeah.
And why wait for another 40 or 60,000 people to die?
Exactly.
All right, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much. And we'll be in touch soon, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
have a grand celebratory podcast if this goes as we hope it does. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We will have a real party here in Arizona, and we'll invite everyone here. So, and we have Persian food and drink and everything. Yeah.
that'd be great. All right, gentlemen. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.